Hey, today we're talking about neglected body parts. Many people first start going to the gym with very specific goals in mind. You know, getting bigger arms, having abs, things like that, And those things are the only things that they train. Maybe they do bench press here and there, and that's it. Like nobody says, yeah, this is my first day at the gym, I'll do some calves. We're all guilty of this. Most of us skipped legs for the first months of lifting, or maybe even years. And then after some time we realized that legs are actually important. Or maybe you didn't even realize that you were skipping a body part. Because most beginner programs neglect smaller muscle groups like forearms, neck, calves, traps, rear delts. I've seen some that neglect even arms. Yeah, some of them are just insanely bad. It's not necessarily your fault because you were fed those programs and you didn't know any better. But now you have to deal with it. So what do you do about that? Well, first of all, let me tell you what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't hammer that muscle group with a ton of volume and intensity. That's a no-go. You'll get injured if you do that because your tendons are not ready for that kind of work yet. You gotta realize that you can't make up for the time that you've lost not training this muscle group. For example, if you've been training biceps and triceps for 3 years but you have never trained forearms, you can't expect them to get proportional to your upper arm in 3 months. That's just not how it works, and you know that. Just like how it took you years to build those biceps and triceps, it will take you years to build those forearms as well. It's true that now it might take you less years to build them because you are a smarter lifter, and you want to do those mistakes that you did on your biceps and triceps for your forearms. But still, you can magically get them that big in 3 months. And in a way, you gotta be okay with the fact that your forearms will pretty much never match your upper arm. Because you'll continue to train your upper arm and you'll continue to train your forearm, so your upper arm will always have a few years extra. So the forearms will always be behind in some way. That's unless you start skipping your upper arm work, but I wouldn't do that. And you probably won't do that either. You'll always have to play catch up with them. But slowly that imbalance will fade away. And how do we do that? Well, like I said before, we're not gonna do ultra high volume at first. We'll literally just start with the bare minimum. You can even do 1 set a week. That sounds like nothing, but we're just gonna get you used to training this muscle. We won't focus on growing the muscle in the first few weeks as much. Just get used to having it in your program and training it, and to the exercise itself. And then the next week we can do 2 sets in 1 session, and then 3 sets in 1 session, still 1 time a week though. And then we can start training it with progressive overload and training it more times a week. You should still do only like 3 sets per session though, because it's a small muscle group. Depending on what muscle group you've neglected, of course. But probably a small muscle group. You're probably hitting all the major muscle groups. But that can be applied to bigger muscle groups as well. Just start slower and build up slowly. The reason why I want you to train them and I insist on consistency with these muscle groups is that for the most part, it is boring to train them. Most people have small calves not because they have bad genetics, but because they don't train them. Because they're boring to train. But we do need to isolate every muscle in order to grow it. Compounds and things like that are not enough. But yeah, hopefully this video will help you to train those neglected muscle groups and get them somewhat close to your other muscles. And if you're wondering how you could add all these sets to your program, you can just superset your exercises. Those neglected muscle groups are usually pretty small and they can easily be supersetted. I made a video about supersets if you wanna check it out.